All right, let's dive into a problem that pretty much everyone on the planet understands, the absolute chaos of grocery shopping. But today, we're going to look at it through the lens of a really cool student project that uses a simple AI agent to bring some much-needed order to that chaos.
So, does this whole scene feel familiar to you? You're standing in the middle of a supermarket aisle, you're trying to remember if you're out of milk, you're wondering which brand of pasta is on sale, and then it hits you. You left the shopping list on the kitchen counter. Again. It's a weekly struggle we all know way too well.
And it's not just one thing, is it? It's the stuff you forget, the extra trips back to the store because you missed something, the endless game of comparing prices between different stores, and just the overall stress of trying to stick to a budget. It is a classic case of information overload.
So here's the game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to properly break down the grocery shopping problem. Then, we'll introduce the AI assistant that was designed to solve it. We'll pop the hood and see how an AI agent actually works, and check out its smart recommendation engine. Then, we'll see how it was built, and talk about the big takeaway, the real power of everyday AI.
Okay, first step, the grocery problem. We all know this feeling, right? You're in a huge supermarket surrounded by thousands of products, brands, sales, promotions. Trying to make the best choice for everything on your list can feel completely overwhelming. It just takes up so much mental energy.
So what's the solution here? Enter an AI grocery assistant. The project we're looking at created what they call the Grocery Home Agent, a system that's designed to basically be your personal shopping strategist. At its heart, it's a smart web app. And its goal is actually pretty simple, but really powerful. It builds you the perfect shopping list. And I don't mean just a list of items. It optimizes the list based on what you care about, what's on sale right this second, and what the best alternatives might be.
So how does it pull that off? Well, first, it pays attention to your personal preferences, like maybe you're really loyal to one specific brand of coffee. Then it goes out and scans supermarket websites for real-time sales. It can even suggest a different, cheaper brand if you're open to it. And the grand finale? It recommends the single best store to go to for that specific trip to get the most bang for your buck.
Now for the really fun part. How does an agent like this actually work? To get the Grocery Home Agent, we first need to get what an agent even is in the world of AI. The easiest way is to think of it like a little software robot with a very specific job to do, complete with its own senses and a clear mission.
Okay, so the official definition is pretty straightforward. An intelligent agent is just a system that can perceive its environment and then take actions to achieve its goals. In other words, it sees, it thinks, and it does. Simple as that. And a really handy way to break down any AI agent is using what's called the BEES model. Think of it like a blueprint. It stands for behavior, what the agent's goals are, environment, the world it operates in, actuators, how it actually does things, and sensors, how it perceives its world. Let's unpack that. Let's start with sensors and actuators, basically inputs and outputs. The sensors are how it takes in information. You know, things like your typed commands, the preferences you set, and all that sales data it's pulling from websites. The actuators are how it acts on that info, its output. Things like displaying the final shopping list, showing you store suggestions, or sending you a price alert. Okay, so next up are its environment and behavior. The environment is simply the world it lives in. For this agent, that's mainly the hypermarket websites, your web browser, and a big product database. Its behavior, well, that's its whole purpose in life, its mission, to manage your groceries, generate those perfectly optimized lists, and ultimately give you awesome cost-saving tips. All of this leads us to the brain of the operation, the smart recommendation engine. This is where we get to see how the agent actually thinks and makes the smart decisions it does.
It all runs on a really simple but super effective three-step cycle. First, perception. It gathers up all the data, your list, what you like, and the current sales. Second, reasoning. This is where it applies your rules and calculates a score for every single potential product. And finally, third, action. It takes the highest scoring items and presents you with the winning list in store.
So how in the world does it calculate that score? Well, this formula from the project, this is the secret sauce. It creates a score by weighing 3 different things. And you can see brand preference is weighted the highest, at 0.4, with quality and price both at 0.3. What that means is the agent prioritizes the brands you love just a little bit more than pure cost or quality. And this table just brilliantly shows how it works. Let's say you need milk. Okay, Milk A is a brand you like, gets a decent score of 10. Milk B, great price, but not your brand, so it scores an 8. But now look at Milk C. It's a brand you like, it's got a good price, and it has the best quality score. Based on that formula, it gets the highest total score of 11, and boom, that's the agent's top recommendation. It's simple, it's logical, and it's so effective.
So, this is a cool idea, right? But how does a project like this actually go from being a concept to a real thing? That brings us to how you'd go about building the AI agent. This isn't just theory. It was designed as a practical, totally buildable project.
The whole thing was mapped out over a really clear 8-week timeline. It starts with 2 weeks of research and planning, then a solid 3-week chunk for development, then 2 weeks for testing and making it better, and finally, 1 week to wrap it all up with documentation. It's a very structured and totally achievable plan.
But you know, no project is ever that easy, is it? Of course not. And the proposal is really honest about the hurdles. For instance, websites are constantly changing their design, which can break the part of the agent that scrapes data. And there's the fact that this is a rule-based system. It follows the rules you give it perfectly, but it doesn't learn and adapt on its own like more complex machine learning models do.
And that brings us to our final section, the big takeaway. After looking at the problem, the solution, and how to build it, what's the big picture here? Why does a project like this really truly matter?
And here it is. The most important takeaway is that AI doesn't have to be some giant, complicated, world-changing thing to be incredibly useful. This project proves that a pretty simple, rule-based agent can be powerful enough to tackle a genuinely complex and annoying problem that we all face every single week.
And maybe the most amazing part of all of this? Get this. This entire system, from the user interface to all the logic in the background, was designed to be built by a team of just 2 students. 2! It just goes to show how accessible this technology is becoming. You don't need a massive company with a huge budget to build really helpful AI tools.
It really just proves that powerful, practical AI is within reach. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If 2 students can design an AI to solve grocery shopping, what everyday problem do you wish AI could solve for you next?